Today we're having a good old yarn with Deb, a QHS admin whose journey is as rugged and awe-inspiring as the red dirt tracks of the outback. So how did she carve her path to success in this wide brown land? Let's roll up our sleeves, take a peek behind the curtain, and unearth the grit behind the scenes.
Hi, I'm Deborah. I'm 58 years old and I live in Australia currently. However, I do consider myself to be an international citizen. I grew up in Singapore and lived there until I was age 15. My parents were my dad was born in Singapore, my mum in Malaysia, and their ancestors grew up from Europe. So I have Dutch, Hungarian, British, Irish, Scottish, and Indian in my blood. So in Singapore, I attended a school called the United World College, and in my year level, there were 42 different nationalities, which was incredible. So I always felt that I grew up on an international stage and I would make some impact internationally one day. My childhood, you could look back and say that everything was really taken care of. I didn't have any wants for anything, and I had a fantastic education. But if you dive a bit deeper, there was a lot of things going on that really only recently I have unpacked that affected me emotionally, physically, and mentally. And I don't want to go too much into details, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint because you'll see perhaps how it has affected my health and how unpacking this has really helped me move forward and move towards the QArc and the healing processes here. So it was really only until a few years ago that I understood the impact of my childhood and how unhealthy it was. My uncle shared with me that his sister, who was my mum, had threatened to throw me off the balcony as a baby. I was actually unwanted, and he had moved in for 3 years to just make sure that nothing untoward was going to happen to me. So basically, I grew up at the other end of a mother who was actually depressed. As a child, you don't know that, you just go on and do things. But basically, I guess deep inside, I had that feeling that I was unwanted, unheard, unseen, and disrespected in many ways. And I never felt loved, never really felt loved. My father told me he loved me at age 17 after both of them had gone through psychiatry. But I don't think I've ever heard my mum say that she loves me. And of course, there was the other thing too. My younger sister was the favorite, so I was always in competition to her. So basically, a lot of that childhood led to unhealthy patterns based from fear and I guess lack of safety that related to overgiving, overdoing. I became the responsible one. I managed everything well, and to be safe. There were many different situations I won't get into. And basically these patterns led me to very unhealthy relationships throughout my life. But looking back, I'm also really grateful for all those lessons because I'm a much stronger person. And as I'm awakening into my divine self, I'm realizing that all these agreements, these stories, these lies that I had as a child, that I'm one by one unpacking and letting going and moving onward from and creating a new world from, have been a fantastic lesson because I get to share this opportunity with many other people and members as I stand in my divine sovereign self now. But unfortunately, those things also took an effect on my health. My first issue started at age 8, where I stood up one day from bed and I actually fell down on the ground. For 3 days I couldn't walk. Doctors couldn't work out what was happening, but if I look back now, it was really, I think I couldn't stand up for myself if you thought about it in a psychological sense. At age 15, I developed dengue fever, and I was really sick for nearly 5 months. At age 15, I also after that moved to Australia, so it became quite a different world for me. And at age 17, I developed autoimmune issues. Both my knees swelled up in a period of a month, and I was put on sent to a rheumatologist and put on anti-inflammatories. I was pretty naive at age 17. I trusted the medical profession. And I used these anti-inflammatories until age 21, where one day I forgot to take it and I realized it wasn't curing me, it wasn't healing me, it was just covering up, stopping the inflammation. And my aunt at that time, my dad's sister, was into natural therapy. She was an acupuncturist and she was visiting from England, and she gave me a lot of books because we didn't have internet in those days, and I became an avid reader and started to look at my world and my life in a different way, which was really a huge turning point. So again, health-wise has really helped me propel me into a new way of looking at life and who I am and what this world is all about. But I did have a health crisis. I kind of got through, but my health crisis happened after I had 3 kids, because having children created an autoimmune reaction, which happened about 3 months after the birth of each of my 3 boys. And at the first one, it took me a year to recover. The second, 18 months. The third, it took me a long time, and I'm still really not recovered from that. That was the lowest point in my life. And at that point, I couldn't even walk 6 steps. I had fibromyalgia. Every part of my body really was sore. I had a leaky gut. And I really had no energy. I was suffering from chronic fatigue. And when I hit rock bottom, and that's a story in itself, it was really my faith and my belief in God and connection with God that kept me going and kept me positive. And from that moment, I have learned so much about the world and life, about frequency, about who we are. And again, these are beautiful gifts that I will share with the world. It is my job to do that. So it was really food and water that I focused on, and I contacted a dietitian and worked with food, Gerson diet, and recovered after about 18 months and was able to get through a whole day. And I continued to improve, and finally when I went off the good food and started just going back to a vegetarian diet, my health very, very slowly started going downhill, unfortunately. And at 2019, I hit another health crisis. I went back on anti-inflammatories for a little while because I'd actually gone on some new food to help me move, and it was working really well, and I wanted to walk into town. But 5 weeks of those anti-inflammatories, I developed subacute liver failure. The doctors told me I needed an emergency liver transplant. But having learnt all the things I had learned about my health, and in particular how to support my body and my liver, I chose to recover naturally, and I did. I was given a 10% chance of recovery, and that was back in 2019. I'm still here. They gave me 30% chance of being okay if I had the liver failure. So I'm doing really well. And again, it's all the things that I've learned that really have worked on this: the right foods, the right thinking, faith, working with source, and other things. But unfortunately, that same year, I also broke my hip. So I've really had quite a number of health challenges over my life. And where I am, what you could see outside if you were to feel me right now, is really lack of movement that has happened really since the birth of my 3rd son. I can walk at the moment about 500 meters on a really good day. I have wrists, you can see, really twisted, that hand, and at the moment I cannot prep food with my right hand. My left hand is twisted. I can't lift my hands above my shoulders. I can't reach the top of my head easily. And really it's a lot of it has also had to do with my broken hip. I have issues with my left knee that stops my knee bending every so often, and the toes on my left foot have twisted over. The other thing, of course, I've got that you would see is the scar from my hip replacement on my right hip. And I do have a few issues on my body, some skin issues that I'm hoping will heal. And I guess inside my body, I do have a titanium hip in my right leg. I have had also my ovary removed. I think it's my right from memory. So really, following through with all that, I'm really looking forward to the QArc experience. I'm holding that I'll be in perfect health, and my sons will actually have a mum that actually moves properly, which will be the first time. I'm looking forward to doing simple things like washing and brushing my hair, walking and running. I would love to get back into something like aerobics, which is probably finished. I think people talk about Pilates these days, and swimming and playing my piano. And I would love to go hiking with my sons and maybe trying some new things like scuba diving, dancing, which I've never done, and painting. So really my life has challenged me a lot health-wise, but as I've said many times through this quick call, it has given me the opportunity to really appreciate good health. And not only am I looking forward to living a beautiful life for myself where I am well and care for myself and honor myself and respect myself and love myself and encourage and welcome beautiful, healthy relationships into my life. But I'm also looking forward to playing a huge part in the rollout of the technology from the QArc experience and other technology, and also doing many, many humanitarian projects, which I'm hoping will really extend the work to the international stage, which I always felt that I was going to do. Thank you.
Join us on the Prequel, where every story matters and every voice is heard. Because here at QHS, we're all about healing, learning, and growing together.